Hey Bookworms of Concord, I am doing my first top 5 top 5 books of anything, starting with my top 5 science fiction books. The rules are, when it comes to series, I'm going to select just one book from that series, rather than, saying, oh, this whole series as, the book. Because it's obviously multiple books, but that being the case, that will mean that I will recommend the whole series, but I will select my favorite book of the series. And also keep in mind that with this being a top 5, it's purely subjective. So I am not saying that these are the top 5 sci-fi books of all time. These are just the top 5 sci-fi books that I have read. So keep that in mind. Let us begin. Beginning with number 5 is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. That might come as a surprise to you because really this is sci-fi, and I'd say yeah. I mean, for the time it was written in. Let's see, it was first published in, looks like 1951. For the time this is written in 1951, definitely sci-fi. It's, sci-fi dystopian, not just dystopian, but it's, I mean, as a reader, how can you not put this book on any top list, unless you've read like 200 sci-fi books like a crazy person, which I hope to get to someday because I am crazy. So yeah, this is number 5 for my top 5. Number 4 is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. I like this just as much as I liked The Martian by him, which I read first. This is just as hilarious as The Martian. It has more, I guess, kind of sci-fi stuff to it, but really nothing that goes beyond your head. And it's about this guy. He wakes up in this white room with no memory of who he is, and throughout the book he starts regaining his memories about he's on this mission across the galaxy to find something to save the planet Earth, and there's this really big twist at the end, or not really at the end, but towards throughout the book. There's this pretty big twist that I didn't really see coming, and the end was just a really good ending for the character. It wasn't what I was expecting or even wanted, until I spent some time thinking more about it and realized that's actually the best ending for the character and for his development. So this was really great book. My top 3 were really hard to do because these next 3 books they're just all my favorites. They're absolutely great and fantastic. I wish I could put them all at number 1, but of course I can't. So beginning with number 3, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Yeah, this is not a horror book, okay? Yeah, there are a lot of old movies, old horror movies based on Frankenstein, but this is not a horror book by any means. It's science fiction. Dr. Frankenstein doing his experiment to create the monster. That's science fiction, and there's a lot of just really good philosophy. I mean, Mary Shelley, I think she wrote this when she was like 17 or 18. She's a genius. Okay. This is, one of my favorite books of all time, and it actually led me to preaching one of my best sermons that I've ever preached as a pastor. If you haven't read this as a sci-fi fan, you've got to read it. Okay, just do it. At number 2 is Ilium by Dan Simmons. This was, it's at number 2 for a reason. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, it's Dan Simmons. Everything, I haven't read a whole lot by Dan Simmons, but everything I've read by him has been my top favorite of something. Okay, but how do I explain what this is about? Basically, so take the Iliad and take the Odyssey and put that in space. All right, Space Odyssey, Space Iliad. That's what this book is about. Well, books, I should say. This is book one of the duology called Ilium. The second book is Olympos. But this is my favorite one of the two because it introduces you to this mini space opera, and it is just, it's great. I never read the Iliad when I was in high school. I had to read the Odyssey like most everybody else, and I actually liked the Odyssey when I read it in high school. Probably the only kid who did, and it's so because I was unfamiliar with the Iliad, I did. You can read the Iliad before reading this, or you can do what I did, which was I watched this like 2.5 hour YouTube video that had really well done comic strips of what the Iliad is about. So I watched that before reading this, and it actually really helped. It's so freaking good. And at number one is another Dan Simmons, Hyperion. This is book one of the Hyperion Cantos. I actually found the third book first, and then discovered that it's part of a series. And so of course I got the rest of them. And the first book it is my favorite of all four of them. This is an absolute masterpiece. It is obviously sci-fi, but it's also a blend of fantasy, horror, and romance. It's basically about these 7 pilgrims who are going on a pilgrimage to the planet Hyperion to basically try and solve these enigmatic riddles in their lives, all of which have to do with this figure called the Shrike, which is just an absolutely terrifying being to come across. You wouldn't want to come across it. There are some people who worship it, and those who fear it, of course, and then those who have vowed to destroy it. And yeah, that's all I can really say about this book. The whole series is a masterpiece. You can't, in my opinion, you just can't be a sci-fi fan and not have read the Hyperion Cantos. It's just, I don't know. I think my favorite series of all time. Those are my top 5. Let me know if you have read any of these books on my list. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye.